No. 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 Sorry, I've been playing a lot of blue-white control in Standard, and that's my new favorite word. Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to talk about how to sideboard with blue-white control in Standard against the top 10 most popular decks in Standard. If you're looking for an overview of the deck tech, that kind of stuff, I posted a video of that at some point next week. Please check that out. Today we're just focusing on the sideboard. Let's do it. This is blue-white control as far as the sideboard goes. We have Devout Decree for red or black permanents. Rest in peace for Graveyard Hate. Beza catches us up in a lot of different situations, whether it be super slow decks or like the fast decks or anything like that. Overlord of the Mistmores is great against these mid-range decks, just really hard to answer threat. Negate for problematic non-creature spells. Tishana's Tidebinder for decks with a lot of enter the battlefield effects. Mostly is that. Wiltleaf Liege and Obstinate Baloth are counters to Hopeless Nightmare. And Dissection Tools is good against any deck that we need additional threats or a lifelink creature for aggro decks. That being said, the most popular deck in Standard is Gruul Aggro, and we're actually going to be sideboarding the same against Gruul Prowess and Mono Red. We're going to be bringing in these Devout Decree, Beza to help catch us up, and Dissection Tools just as a life linker. Going to be siding out of Negate because the creatures are the thing that we're really focused on and actually care about, and the Overlords because it's just a lot of mana. To just lose to a Monstrous Rage is just not fair. So this is how I'm going to sideboard against the red base aggro decks. The second most popular deck is the Esper Self Bounce. We're actually going to sideboard the same against Dimir Self Bounce as well, which is the 7th most popular deck. Against the two bounce decks, I'm a fan of Negate. Countering this town ain't big enough is just a very big deal. Overlord is very good because it's really hard for them to answer it, as well as Obstinate Baloth and Wiltleaf Liege as counters to Hopeless Nightmare, and Tishana's Tidebinder because it's effectively a counter to like a lot of different things. That being said, we're going to cut down on these Jace Perfected Mind. We really don't need these Bezas. I'm not a fan of the Hornlock Whale because the Lagoon Breach isn't that good when there's a lot of enter the battlefield effects that we are really afraid of. I'm just going to shave on a stock up, and this is how I'm going to sideboard against the self-bounce decks. The third most popular deck in Standard is Domain. We're actually going to be sideboarding the same against the 4-color Zur deck, which is the 8th most popular deck as well. Against this deck, Negate is excellent, as well as Tishana's Tidebinder. And we'll be siding out of Temp Lockdown, and we want to bring in the Overlords just as many threats as possible. And we're just going to shave on a Beza. It doesn't do much against this deck. This is how I'm going to sideboard against the Domain decks. The fourth most popular deck is Dimir Midrange. We're actually going to be sideboarding the same against Dimir and Golgari. So against the mid-range decks, we're bringing in the Devout Decree. Overlord is absolutely insane against both of these decks. And we're just going to shave on these Bezas, and this is how I'm going to sideboard against the mid-range decks. So I talked about Golgari mid-range is 5th. Gruul Prowess, which is 6th, we've already talked about. Dimir Self Bounce is 7th, we've already talked about. 4-color Zur is 8th, which we've already talked about. Mono Red Prowess is 9th, which brings us all the way to Jeskai Oculus. Against the Oculus deck, we are bringing in the Rest in Peace Eyes, as well as Negate. I'm also a fan of Tishana's Tidebinder because it can neuter a lot out of the opponent's deck. And we're going to be shaving on cutting, these temporary lockdowns. Hornlock Whale doesn't do much. I don't want to return things to hand. And Beza just isn't really doing anything, which means we have a slot for one more thing, so we're just going to bring in the Overlord. So this is how I'm going to sideboard against the Jeskai Oculus deck. There you go, how I sideboard against the top 10 most popular decks in Standard with the blue-white control deck. If you liked this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.